Hi, everyone. Welcome back for another exciting episode with a longtime marketer here in Las Vegas, Lauralie Levy. She is the founder of CrowdSiren, a local agency here, and just a longtime marketer here in Las Vegas. So, Lauralie, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. So exciting.
All right. So, why don't we get started with what originally drew you to a career in the marketing and branding strategy community?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I fell into it a little bit because I am a communicator. That is really where my passion started, communications. And then I decided to focus specifically on marketing, which is also big. Communications is big, but marketing is also big. And I found that I really could dive deep into digital marketing at a time when it was new and needed. And so I just went down that path. It just opened up as it unfolded. I kept going in that direction. So I sort of fell into it, but really originally thought I would be doing public relations in general, and then sidestepped into, wait, I actually really like this digital marketing stuff. So kind of fell into it.
I love that. And I feel like that's a common path for many of us elder millennials. When social media wasn't something that we could major in college, many of us did fall into it earlier in our career because we were the PR people and we were actively doing that for brands and then kind of started doing social as just kind of a side thing. And it's so crazy to think about how far it has come now. Why don't you tell us more about CrowdSiren and how that journey began?
Sure. I could even back up before that. I graduated with my communications degree, wound up working in New York City in government affairs. And at that time, that's when you could have a Facebook business page as an individual. So I got the elected official that I worked with, I got her a Facebook page and we kind of started branding her. She didn't have a logo and I thought that was crazy. So I started doing some of these things that were totally new for this elected official in New York City. And after I lived there for a few years, I was like, I'm going to come back to Las Vegas where I was born and raised. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll do events or some other type of communication. And instead, that was the time when Twitter was new and people were still even on MySpace, but Facebook was starting to be a thing. And so people started asking me questions about this, and I had really just done it in New York City. I was like, well, let me start branding this elected official in digital ways. And so people were asking me questions about that and how do I get on Twitter and what do I do? And I said, you know what, let me just answer these questions. It seemed to be a big problem. This was 2008, 9, 10, 11, and I thought, you know what, I'll just tell people how to do it. I'll teach people how to do this digital marketing thing, how to get on social media, how to build a Facebook page. And what I found was people were like, this is great, Lorelai, but can you do it for me? And then I said, yes, this is a business. So that's when I started working as just individual to say, oh, I can build your page for you. I can put you on Twitter. That got into local campaigns, and campaigns led to agency work, and then I grew beyond myself to build an agency around all of these offerings before even Instagram or WhatsApp or anything. TikTok obviously was a thing, and just built it from there and started deep expertise in the digital social online ads space and continued to fix the problem of, thank you, I don't want to learn how to do it, I want it to be done for me. And it grew from there. So I realized if I fix that problem, I always knew, oh, I could fix the problem, I'll teach you how, but people didn't want to be taught how. They wanted to pay to have it done. And so that's what we continually fix is, yes, you know how to do social media and digital marketing, and maybe you know advertising and branding, but you don't want to do any of it. So it gets hired out.
I love that. That is a great explanation for what many agencies come in handy for. And you've done such a great job of doing that over the years and keeping it going all this time.
Yeah.
What do you think is a big challenge that you see for companies that are trying to build brand awareness in a crowded digital landscape today?
They don't know how to focus, so they might see a shiny object. Ooh, I want to be on TikTok, but are your clients there? Are your customers there? Or they might say, oh, influencers, that's the hot thing, let's do that. But they don't realize they need a budget. They need to understand who are the followers of the influencers, and are the followers of the influencers their potential customers. So I think they get spread too thin because they see all of these shiny things and they kind of want to do everything without realizing that there's a budget attached to every single thing. And there are people behind the screens, right? So So that's something that I've seen is they get spread too thin, or, even AI. Ooh, I want to use AI and AI influencers, but they have no idea what it means, or the fact that it would actually take some capital distribution to make these things come to life, And I think there's this misconception out there that, every young person can do social media. And while that is true to some degree, yes, there's digital natives and a lot of people can just intuitively run their own social media. That does not extend to being able to actually do customer acquisition on social and digital for a company. You really have to understand target market, messaging, branding, communications to be able to actually say, I can go after your target market on social and digital media. So they just, I think they get excited about shiny objects. They say it's free to post on social media, let's do it. But if you've ever created content, it is very far from being free. And it's gotten really sophisticated these days. There are individuals whose full-time job is to be a content creator. So that person's a content creator. Great. Now you also need the person who's a full-time ad buyer, and you need the copywriter. Oh, AI can do it. No, AI can't really do all of these things, which is why agency models still exist, and why you need all of these people in the room to actually create campaigns that work. And so businesses might hire someone. They say, oh, great, I'll have an intern do it. And then that person fails because they're not giving the resources, the time, or the expertise that is needed to do it in a real marketable way.
Yeah, that's well said. I think that so much of what you just said also comes back to the age-old marketing question that will never change, which is, who is your audience? Who are you trying to reach? And really trying to unpack that and help brands or clients that we may have really try to dig into that and understand, because it seems like a less important question, but it is the most important question I think that we can ask ourselves before we start doing that.
Exactly.
All right. So what is your favorite social media platform?
Oh, it's changed so much through the years because I loved and hated some of the same social platforms. Facebook was one of my first loves. I mean, I should say MySpace was. It's dating me, but I kind of hopped from like a MySpace to Facebook love to getting off Facebook to going to Instagram, and that's where I stuck around for a really long time and loved it. But then recently, I just felt like the social platforms were not protecting me against things I didn't want to see, so I got off most of social media except for LinkedIn. Today in 2026, LinkedIn is my favorite, which is so like old lady, which is fine because I accept that about myself. But what I do love about it is that it does feel professional. I feel protected against things I don't want to see because it's just not getting posted there. It's still curated. I'm not loving it as much because about 80% of the content on there has changed to be AI, which is unfortunate. But I think what's happening is people are just using it to polish their copy, which is okay. I think there's still a lot of good there. And they've really pushed on vertical video, which is something I loved about Instagram. I actually stayed away from TikTok a lot because I was like really nervous about it. I understand how great it could be, but I just can't play in that space, I think, for my mental health. But yeah, LinkedIn is like my current favorite. I'll peep in and look around still at Facebook and Instagram, but when it makes me angry, I just have to get offline and I go back to LinkedIn, which rarely ever makes me angry. So I can protect my peace and see what's happening in the marketing and digital world, see what's happening when it comes to AI or trends. I can see what's going on with other professionals, and I feel like I'm edified in that space. So it's become my new favorite.
I love that. And that's such an important question that we can always ask ourselves when we're on social media platforms, which is, how am I feeling when I'm leaving my time here? And I totally echo what you're saying, that I feel smarter when I leave LinkedIn. I feel inspired, and it's getting harder and harder to feel that way on the other social media platforms. So I think LinkedIn is really coming into its own and getting on the vertical video bandwagon and doing a really good job of keeping users engaged. So I think it's a really awesome place to spend time too. Switching back to your work, what has been your favorite client or project over the years? And then maybe also one that you didn't love as much, but learned a lot from.
Let me start with one I didn't really love because it was almost like a relationship gone bad. So I started like loving it and then we broke up, like some relationships in the past. I got really excited about this capital project happening in downtown Las Vegas. It was an event venue that was getting built. I was so excited because it was at a time when there was a lot of building happening in downtown Las Vegas. This is when Tony Hsieh had put $350 million into downtown. Container Park was being built. talking about putting trees on Fremont Street, and everyone was very excited. And it was a great time to be down there. And people were building. They were building software. They were building actual buildings. So an event venue came to us to say, "Hey, CrowdSiren, can you create marketing around this?" And they're like, inside this event venue, not only will be event space, but we're going to have a store on the first floor. We're going to have a bar. So we need a logo and we need names. And it was so exciting because I actually got to design a logo that is on Fremont Street right now. The event venue closed, but there's 2 logos that are in neon. I actually got to go shopping for neon at Yesco and pick the neon I wanted, and I have a sign that came from my brain that is on Fremont Street. It was a sad end that the event venue never worked out. It never actually opened to fruition. I think it might have been open for a little bit of time, but what happened was the investor wasn't based in Las Vegas and sort of gave up on the project before it had time to breathe. So it kind of had a sad ending, and the building is closed down. And so it was so great because I got to be some of my most creative, which is I got to do brand and messaging. I got to think of what could be in their store on Fremont. I got to think of the name and the logo. I remember drawing it out on a piece of paper, it would be so cool if it was like this, had wings to it. And I really got super creative, and and now I can walk down there and point out that came from my brain, which is very cool, even though it didn't come to fruition. So that was a beautiful thing with a sad breakup. And then I would say, one of my favorite over the years, there's probably a couple, but I would probably say Downtown Summerlin. So CrowdSiren was hired to do the opening of Downtown Summerlin. And it was, first of all, it was great to actually receive that project because we went up against some of the biggest agencies in town. And when they picked us to do social media, there were still other agencies involved with the project. They had their PR company, they had their advertising company, but we got to do social media. And so I got to put into practice this idea of live content creation. And during their opening weekend, we actually had 12 content creators on site in real time creating content for the opening. So the whole day, just like we see nowadays with concerts and festivals, you see, during the whole event, you see content being created. I got to do that, and I had a whole team, and it was so wonderful because it was before it was popular. Downtown Summerlin is now a decade old, but it was so great because I got to test out these things I knew would work. And they were all sending content in real time, so they're sending us the pictures of the entertainment happening on site, and they're sending us the copy, and then we're getting it posted as Downtown Summerlin. And so it was really great. It was a great proof of concept to do live social content creation. We had more than, I want to say, 50,000 emails that we were able to receive before the opening for Downtown Summerlin and hand it over to them through campaigns that we created online. And so in every way it could be successful, it really was. And Howard Hughes was amazing to work with, and I still, appreciate the team. And now I work in Downtown Summerlin, my office is in WeWork, down this, across the street. So it's just, I still see it with pride as something that I was able to do in this town, in this community that was wildly successful.
That is a really cool story, and totally ahead of the curve there with live content creation, which seems, like you said, like something everyone does now, but there was a time when it truly was not happening. So hats off to you. That's really cool. What can you look back at your career and share maybe a professional setback and how you overcame it? I like to focus on these things because I feel like sometimes we only focus on the positives, and I think it's good to give students a full 360 view of our careers and give them some insight about things we've experienced.
For sure. I mean, easily COVID. Overnight, CrowdSiren probably lost 50 to 70% of our business. And that was tough because everyone said, well, the first thing to go is marketing. If I cannot have anyone walk through my doors, why am I going to do marketing? Now, I had an answer to that, which is brand awareness, because your doors will open again and you do not want people to forget you. So if you are the person that is posting on social media and getting to these people who are all at home anyways, they're all scrolling, you should stay connected. Don't give up on them just because they can't walk through the doors. But it didn't make any sense for them because they didn't have any money. So it was a really tough blow. And I think, while that was a quiet time for us, it also helped us reset as well. And we were able to hold on to clients. We said we would give discounts to other clients. Almost everyone came back when things did open, but there was a period there where we were like, we have no idea what to do. We had to peel people back off projects because some of our team members, they were just working on certain accounts. And when those accounts weren't there, I couldn't even give them work. So the ripple effects were really widespread. I think because our company has always been really fiscally responsible, that's why we're still in business. It didn't kill our business completely. Like, we were able to stick around. Serendipitously, we had this office in downtown Las Vegas, and our lease was up at the end of February. And so we're like, we'll just not renew our lease. We don't know what's going to happen. And then March, right, the world shut down. So we actually wound up not even having an office anymore, which we had always like done some days remote, and we were hybrid. But it just was kind of good timing that we were like, well, we're not going to renew our lease because we don't know what's going to happen. So we didn't have that overhead at the same time that the world was shut down. But we've always been really lean. We've always been, really smart. And so I think that that's what held us on. But it was rough. Like, it was definitely rough that I couldn't hold on to my employees, that I couldn't service clients in this really hard time. Things got really quiet, which that personally was pretty good for me because I had just given birth to my daughter April 5th, 2020. So between March and April, it felt like a maternity leave, but also a very hard one for us to get through because there was like no money coming into the agency. So yeah, I mean, I think that just like doing right by people, like being able to give discounts, like I feel like there's at least one client I gave a discount to that I never raised their prices again. Like 6 years later, I'm like, you know what, let's just keep going. But that's the thing. And we still have them 6 years later because it's just good business to like have a good relationship with these people. So I think that's always been something, for me, it's like, hey, if you can't do this right now, I totally understand. Let's talk back when you can. And we are a relationship. This whole city is relationships. So, that's something that people knew. If we can do right by you now and say, sure, we'll turn everything off, let's talk later. When you want to turn it on, you know where to go. It was never because of the output of our work. It was just because this crazy thing happened. But yeah, I think part of it is we're still in business today because of both the relationships, being really lean and fiscally responsible, and doing right by our clients.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I think a good thing to keep in perspective about resiliency, it's not just at the beginning of your career. It really is something that you need to hold on to throughout your career as things change. But when things are down, they always usually come back again too. So I think that's a really positive perspective on it. Switching gears back into your work, what's one trend that you're watching that you think most people aren't talking about yet?
I love this question, and I can't say I'm like on top of this trend right now, but I am watching it fiercely, and that's live social shopping. So I think everyone is watching AI, so I would say that, but everyone's watching AI. I just happen to be a hawk on that too. But I think it's live social shopping because we're still early. And I know Gary Vee talks about this a lot too. So if you follow him, you may see this too. But I did have a few friends that are like, let me go play with this. And live social shopping is really, you put your phone up, you go live, you sell something until you sell out, and people bid on whatever you're selling. It could be, I have one friend who's doing clothing, and she's had massive success in a very short amount of time. And so I think we're just at the beginning. I mean, we may be right now like 10 years out from this being a big thing, but once it is a big thing, it's a thing. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. And I know it's like really big in China. I know people say that, oh, it's like big in China, but it is big overseas. And we are so used to shopping from our phones that the next step is to watch someone and bid on something live. So this is Whatnot, right? And I don't think enough people are talking about it because they're sort of dismissing it, but it is the way that we already shop, and it's just the next iteration of it. So if there are people who are already like tuning in to Whatnot, there's a lot going on there. I'm always looking around to see what are people shopping for, and it's really everything. I've seen books on there like that go high priced. I've seen luxury goods on there. I've seen snack boxes, which is like so random to me. But also I think if someone decides that they just want to go to Trader Joe's and be the person who like live social shopping has Trader Joe's snack boxes, that they would make a killing. So if someone wants to take that idea, go for it. But I do think it's the next level of things that is really under the radar. People are not talking about it. It's kind of AI proof in that you need a person. And it's fun and it's entertainment. So I think that's coming. We're really, really early, but it cannot be ignored. So it's very easy to stand up. You just get in front of your phone, right? So I'm not afraid to be an early adopter and look at these things and see where they're going to head and look at trends. And yeah, like I said, I've had a couple of people who do it who are having a lot of success with it. So I think because it's so fun and it's that face first idea that we're going to be craving even more and more of that, especially as AI comes to be. That someone's going to say, man, I don't just want like AI to tell me what to buy. I want to just like go look at my friend selling stuff.
In that, and a few times earlier also, you talked about AI and obviously the impact that it's having on our industry and the world at large. How do you think AI is going to change marketing roles over the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's a good question. Something I think a lot about. I would say I'm a power user. I want to be the person who can prompt it. I've played with creating AI agents for marketing. As soon as I create something, it's created by someone else. I mean, it's moving really, really quickly. And I think to stay ahead of it, in a similar way that I learned how to use and try to teach social media, what will happen is if you're early and you're paying attention right now, you can be that person. And what we might find is, again, just like in early social media days, we'll have companies that say, thank you, I don't want to learn it, do it for me. So I think what will happen is agencies will change to start actually offering AI marketing agents to companies so that you can actually build out their marketing for them. This can be, of course, content, written content. It could be advertising copy. It can be images. Some of that's already happening. A lot of this is already happening. I think we need to learn how to prompt, and we have to take a marketing mind to this. There's a lot of admin tasks in marketing, whether it's keyword research to write a blog, and then the writing of the blog, and then the posting of the blog, and then the actual distribution of that blog across platforms. AI can do all of that. It just needs a human to make sure that all of those pieces of it are done well, done right, and getting the reach we want. It could be the emails, right? Email marketing, writing it, coming up with the topics, getting it distributed, having the next email in the sequence. So that now it becomes sales. AI is going to take over a lot of these admin tasks. It still needs smart operators. So if we can go and take our strategic brains about understanding every single task and getting at a strategic level, now we can create the AI agents that are actually going to move forward a business. When it comes to targeting, right? Okay, we want to do ads and we want to do targeting. Letting AI truly be an assistant in that way to give you the feedback that typically only other agencies and humans could do. To say, hey, let's look at what is the cost per acquisition for a lead in this industry using Meta or LinkedIn ads. I think the agents will get us there faster, but we need to be in the operator seat. We need to be in the strategist seat. We have to know all of the admin tasks that we do today that can be outsourced, and yet we still need to put ourselves in the middle of the situation. And as much as it's going to help, it's also going to hurt. So if we could keep an eye on where it has issues, then we can be the ones like solving for those issues. In the same way social media can do that. So I look at it similarly, which is let it do the things it's good at. Let it, let it help us with admin tasks because there are so many. Let us get there faster so we could be the strategist, so we could be the brains. Let it help us co-create something. That's fine. But if we're still the brains, we keep ourselves in the understanding it to that level, it won't take our jobs. It will help us move quicker and help, organizations at scale. So like I said, I do think organizations are going to come to people and say, I just don't have the capacity to learn it. I'll still pay for it. So can you make it work for me? And if we can learn how to tie the agents together in a way that makes our lives easier, as the marketers, then our output gets even better. Now I have better creative and I have it faster and I can go to market sooner and I can create a growth engine that will work, that's targeted, quickly and set that up quickly versus, all right, that's going to take 8 weeks, like it'll take a week and a half. So I think that's how things will change. And I think it's up to us as people to people to understand how to use that to get us 80% of the way, maybe even more, 85% of the way there, and use that to continue to build business in the way that they're going to need. So there's definitely an enterprise play there, and there's a play for us to keep ourselves really smart and on top of it, so that we get better and we stay in a position where someone says, someone who's willing to pay says, I still need it from you. I don't have the capacity to do it or learn it. And businesses do not want to. They're not going to spend the time. I have that as my past of like, that's great. I don't need to know everything. I just need to know what it's capable of. And we need to be those people in the middle to say, this is what it can do. And I can help make sure that it's done effectively.
Those are really great takeaways. Wrapping it up a little bit, what advice do you have for students listening about their journey and the start of their career?
It almost goes back to what you said, which is that resilience, and just really being open. Don't be stubborn. And I say that because in order for us to learn and change and grow, we have to be open to what's coming and ride the waves. I think that's something that has always served me well is that I thought, okay, this is the path, and I'm very decisive. This is the path, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm good at. But that may not look the way that it feels, right? I thought that, oh, my career is going to be in communications, and I communicate every single day. So it is. It just wasn't the way I thought it would be when I graduated college. So I think being open to opportunities, being resilient, building that muscle where there's rejection or failure or skills you don't have that you need to go get, don't be defiant against it. Just go learn. Take this love you have for learning that you're in school today and go spend a weekend playing with AI. Go to a conference and walk the floor and talk to the exhibitors and see if it sparks ideas. Like, continue to build the skills and the muscles you need, because things are going to be vastly different in the next, even the next 90 days, let alone years of your career. And you will have ideas that will come that can make you a one man, one woman show where you could say, I can actually make a living over here instead of working for that person over there. Or, I can go live social shopping tomorrow and make a whole career out of it. So I think, and then taking that to say, wow, I'm going to go create a brand of my own, and I'm going to sell my own thing, and it develops from there. So I think being really open and being resilient, letting yourself fail, and continuously learning. I guess it's a lot of things I'm suggesting, but it really is just about riding the waves. And yeah, there's going to be hard times, and there's going to be like, all right, I just need to like pay my rent, which is totally fair. But if you're open to opportunities, then that will come. I'm really a big believer in that you just continue to be resilient, continue to fight, continue to be really resourceful, and you'll be able to figure that out. It's not going to look the way it did for your grandparents, your parents, your aunts and uncles. Like, they'll give you advice. I don't think that it's going to be AI proof. I don't think it'll be what you need to do in the future. So just be open to that. Surround yourself with people who have been successful before, because they are the ones who you're going to want to learn from. And just never stop learning, because the more skills you have, the more people will look to you and say, I'll just pay you for those skills. And you so develop those skills, be resilient, don't get too down on yourself, and just be open.
That is really great advice. Well, Lorelai, thank you so much for being here. That was really insightful, hearing about your journey and all of your thoughts on our ever fast moving industry that is marketing. So thanks so much for being here.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's been great talking to you. Love talking about the story, and I'm open if students want to pick my brain. I would love to chat more.
Great. I will drop your LinkedIn profile link in our documents so that they can make sure to follow you there as well.
Great. Thank you.